Okay, so guys, actually, I wanted to make one thing clear. As yesterday when we were talking, I think we spoke about the architecture, but not exactly what architecture we discussed, right? So yeah, let me make those things clear. Just okay. So the architecture, actually, the basic architecture, you will find that most of the frameworks make use of or architecture design pattern, however you call it. So that is the MVC architecture, okay, which stands for model, view, and controller. Okay. But when it comes to Django, no, it is not model view controller, but rather it is like model, template, and view. Okay. Now, what I'll explain you one of this, okay, and the other one you can understand with that. Okay. So here we have MTV. Okay. So first and foremost, let's understand what is the model view controller. Okay. So if you look at the model view controller, no, let me just write it down here for you to understand. So model is nothing but where you keep the data. Okay, so you can consider that this is something which is going to be related to database. Okay, then what we have is view. Okay, so view in MVC is something which is related to the user interface. Okay, and I mean whatever, I mean since we are talking about the web architect, I mean the web development, so you understand that user interface is nothing but the front end, right? And then what we have is controller. Now controller you can consider as something which is managing the entire process, the communication. Okay, so all the communication that is happening is being taken care of using controller, in the sense I know what request has to be passed where, what has to be processed, from where data has to be fetched. All those things are happening through controller. Okay, so now generally how things are happening, I mean whenever you have to see a given page, you send a request. Okay, so through the browser the request is sent. Okay, and that request is checked. Okay, it is checked whether, I mean in the URL dispatcher, which is nothing but urls.py, which is a file in which it is checked for, okay, what is the corresponding view which should be taken into action. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, so the moment it is matched with a given view, then that view comes in action and you will decide, okay, yeah, this and this is to be performed. One good example which I have come across for model view controller was, if you consider that, okay, you consider that you are visiting some restaurant, okay, and you place an order. Okay, now when you place an order, you're not placing the order directly to a chef. You're not, right? So what you're doing, you are placing an order, and the order that you're placing it to a given waiter, right? A waiter, you'll come across some waiter and you will place the order to that person, right? And the waiter can be considered here as the controller. Okay, so the waiter is nothing but the controller. So the waiter, what he'll do, he'll take your order and he'll send it to the like, I mean he'll go, he'll fetch the data if at all, or waiter, since it is a waiter, right? So here he is supposed to get your order, he'll go to the chef, he'll give that order to that chef, and chef is the person who will be preparing your food. And no, he'll again not come back to you and provide you with the food, but rather he'll be sending it through the waiter again, right? And waiter is the one who is again going to bring it back to you. So you can consider here in this example, waiter is going to be the controller, or the one which is going to manage all the communication. Chef can be considered as the data part, okay, who is going to act from the backend part. Okay, and view can be considered here in this MVC architecture as the UI. So UI can be, I mean, you can consider this as the front end or whatever you're getting at the I mean the completed dish. Okay, so the dish can be considered as the view. Okay. Now, is this making sense to you? The MVC architecture? Hmm? Are you
Yes.
people getting it?
Yes, somewhere.
Yes.
No, if any confusion is there, I'll repeat myself. I have no issue. Is there, I mean, a need for repeating this, or you understood? Okay. Now, the thing is, MVC architecture is like a general architecture. Coming to Django, what we have is MTB architecture. Okay. So in case of MTB architecture, we have the template which is going to be acting as the UI part. View is the one which is going to act like the controller. Okay. So what happens here is, again, model is as it is. It is going to be the database kind. I mean, the place where you are storing the data. Okay. Now here, what is again happening is a request is sent as usual, and the request is always going to be like a URL extension. Okay. Now this extension is checked. It is checked inside the urls.py file whether for this given extension is there a corresponding view. Okay. The moment they find a corresponding view, it will go and check what is in the view. Okay. So the view will then decide what has to be done. If it is supposed to fetch an HTML page, it will fetch that. If it is supposed to fetch some data from the model, it will go fetch that data, bring it back to the HTML page, and that HTML page will be displayed. Okay, that's how the MTB architecture works. Are you people getting this? I think yesterday I have shown you one image, but I'm not sure whether you people remember it or not. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So here, as you see, the URL is going to be the way the request is being sent. It is like in the URL dispatcher, which is nothing but a file, okay, in which there is a link between the URL pattern with respect to the view. Okay. So the moment it finds the corresponding view for a given URL pattern, it will straight away go to the views.py file, which will then decide what has to be performed. If it is supposed to get a HTML page, okay, now HTML page is nothing but templates, okay. So it will directly go and fetch you the HTML page as the output, and whatever it is going to fetch, it is going to fetch at the browser level, okay. So it is all going to be displayed at the browser, okay. Otherwise, if it has to fetch some data, now data is again, see, whatever, when you're dealing with websites or web pages, understand that everything is going to appear on the web, right? I mean, it's not going to be just like it is going to redirect you to a database. No, that's not going to happen. It will, even if there is a data has, I mean, which is required to be displayed, it is just going to fetch the data from the model. It will request for the data, it will get the response as the data, okay, which has to be fetched. It is again going to display it in an HTML page. Okay. It's not going to directly just being thrown to you. It is going to appear in an HTML page. Okay. So all this logic will be written in your views.py file. Okay. In some given view. Okay. Now is this clear? If not, don't worry still, because when you actually see, right, like how exactly it is working, then I think maybe it will be more clear. So let's do one thing. We'll again try to create a virtual environment and create a project. Then we'll create an app. Okay. And then we'll come back to this discussion again. Okay. With respect to what we have done, I think then it will be much clear. So let's go back to our IDE. Okay. Now, okay, this we can leave it here. Let me do one thing. Let me create another environment. Okay. So do you people remember how to create environment? So if I say environment one slash, is it like this? I'm trying to activate, I think. I have to create like Python, then I should mention the module using the -m flag. So module is VENV, and environment name I want to create is env1. Okay. Okay, let it get created. Okay, so my prompt is back. That means my environment got created. Now, once the environment is created, the next step is to activate it. Okay, so env1 slash scripts slash activate. So using this, I can activate my environment. Basically, it means that I am going to be inside my environment. Okay, so yes, it got activated. If I look at my environment for any software installations, it is, since it is a freshly created one, it is not going to have anything, right? So that means I have to create something, right? So in order to install, so since I'm going to work on a Django project, the first thing that I want to install is Django, right? So pip install and okay, Django. I'll do one thing, I'll install 3.1. Okay, so pip install Django equals to 3.1. Okay, so this way I can no, like go for some specific version. So let it get installed. It is taking. Okay, done. Okay. Now if I look at pip freeze, no, I can see what all softwares got installed. So you can see basically Django 3.1 was what I tried to install. Apart from that, along with that, some dependencies also got installed. So yeah, that's fine. Now, anyhow, for time being, I'm not going to focus on the requirements.txt file because that is a file which is required if I'm going to collaborate with somebody or if I need to give my project to be tested on some other system where that environment is not existing. Okay, so time being, I can just skip that part. Now, what I'm going to do is, since I install Django, I'm going to create a project. Okay, so Django admin start project, and I should give a name for my project, so I can give maybe my project. Okay, so yeah, my project got created. So if you look at this, it is there, right? I can see all those files and folder structure which was expected to be there. Okay, so now I can start my server. So tell me one thing, can I start it straight away? Okay. Why?
You have to go inside.
Yes, if I don't go, I won't be having access to this file, right? Because that is the one which is going to help me with the next command. So yes, I have to go inside. So cd my project. Okay. Now I can run my code which says manage.py run server. Okay. Though now understand one thing, this is more like a default page, okay, which whenever Django is running, no, Django server is running, I'm getting this default page. But then it is okay, and though it is giving me a kind of satisfaction that even though I didn't do much, but I'm still able to get this. But you really don't want this, right? You want to do something for yourself, right? When you want to write something, you want to do something with the website that you want to create. You don't want the default page at least. So let's do something. Okay, so now comes the next thing that we have to do, that is apps, creating applications. Okay, so what are these apps that I'm talking about? Can somebody guess? Now next thing what we have to do is to create an app. So can somebody guess what is an app? We created a project, now we are going to create an app. Hmm? Okay.
Applications.
Yeah. Yes, it is applications. Yes. Okay. Now, if you see, we spoke about no kind of dividing up main, like the entire project. Say for example, any web application, if you look now, say if you want, you can think of an e-commerce website, or maybe a banking website, or maybe a social media website. So if you see, there are like multiple sections in all these websites, right? It's not like just a single section and that's it. It's all fully filled with features. No, not like that. You will have like some multiple other minor sections in your full-fledged project, right? A website. So if you look at e-commerce website, as I spoke about yesterday, in an e-commerce website, you might find some things like a payment section. You might find a shopping section. You might find an account section where you manage your addresses and all. So there are like n number of other sections that is there in a given application, or in a given web application. Okay, to be more specific. So when you have those many things, and putting everything just in a direct project straight away, it doesn't make much sense. So then what you are going to do is, you are going to, for each this kind of small sections, what you are going to do is, you are going to create individual apps. Okay, so under a given project, you can create multiple apps, and you can manage those apps like separately. Okay, without like complicating things, what you will do is, you might create like multiple apps. Okay, which is going to help you manage those different sections, okay, under the same project. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's create our first app. Okay, so I can just stop this. And let's create our app. So the way you create your app is python manage.py start app, and you can mention some app name. Okay, so app name, maybe I can mention maybe as app one. Okay, so yeah, now tell me, do you find any difference as soon as I created this app one? Do you find any change? You find, right? There is a new
Yes.
folder that is being created over here. And please do one thing. When you are observing what the folder and the content of that folder, please just try to cross verify whether whatever you find in the my project folder, is it same as what you have here, or is there any difference? Just have a look. So you might find here, okay, you have init.py, which is similar, right? But then you don't have anything like migration over there inside the my project folder. Even admin.py is not there. Apps.py is not there. Models.py is not there. Test.py is not there. Views.py is also not there. Okay. So frankly speaking, these are not there, right? Only thing that you might be finding is this one, init.py. Rest all things are different, right? So yes, apps are having its own like purpose, right? Apps are going to be managing things. Project you can consider like a overall outer covering kind of thing, okay, which is for wrapping up the entire functionality under one hood. Okay, that's the kind of thing the project is doing. So now I have an app. Okay, I have created an app, but and it is kind of inside the project folder. That's all fine. But the thing is, even if you have some app inside the project folder, for the project folder to identify that this app belongs to me, you have to do some settings. You have to do some configuration. Okay, and that is done using the settings.py file. Okay, so if you go to this file, you will find that there is, yeah, can you see here, there is a mention of installed apps. Okay, and if you see, there are some app names which is already mentioned, but frankly speaking, none of these are created by us. Okay, and that's the reason I was saying that when you go for the frameworks, one of the advantages that you are not asked to do anything from the very scratch. That is because framework is already letting you use some of the things which it has created for you already. Okay, so these apps are already created and kept for you. So now is time for me to add the app that I created. Okay, so here I have to mention my app name. So my app name is app1. You will find that there is a general convention that here is following, which is whenever you make some addition, no, after that they'll put a comma, which is just to mention that it can continue. Okay, even if you don't put this, it's fine, but it's just that if you are going to add any other app and all, right, and so it will just continue in this list. Okay, so you can anyhow identify that this is a list, right? List which mentions the names of the apps which are there. Okay, okay, till here things are clear to you. All we have done is we have created an app and we have kind of acknowledged our project that okay, this app is created and it is part of this project. Okay, and to do that, it is supposed to be mentioned over this list, which is nothing but the installed apps list. Okay, now once done with this, let's save this file.
I just have one small question.
Mhm.
Yeah, so when you're talking about app, basically each app is a separate page of a website, is it?
I am not talking in terms of pages. I am actually talking in terms of sections. So not pages. Okay, no, it is actually like sections. So as I said, no, like in an e-commerce website, you might have the payment section, the the shopping section. You might have the account section. So there are different sections, right? So you would like to manage those sections separately. You don't want to put it all under one app, or you don't want to put it all under a single hood, right? Just directly.
Okay, so basically app divides the entire websites into sections, right?
Yes, so you can manage them independently, and even that way, it can be like, I mean, it will be less chaotic, especially when it comes to some bug fixes and all. If you are having everything as a whole, no, it is difficult to track down where the issues are occurring. But at the same time, if things are more modularized, you still have a choice of finding out, okay, which one is giving you trouble. So you can just troubleshoot it quite easily compared to the other case, right?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, now this is done. Now tell me one thing. When you are going for some website or some web application, mostly whatever you see is in terms of some, some pages, right? Some HTML pages, or at least some page. If you or you are redirected to some page, it is always like that, right? So now that means I have to see some pages, but frankly speaking, I didn't do anything to get some pages or some message, anything. So the next thing that we are going to do is to do something with respect to the views. Okay, so view will let me do all these things. It will let me view actually to be able to see something. Okay, as you see, views are going to be the ones which is going to help me with functionalities, adding functionalities to my project. So that is what I'm going to go for next. Now let me tell you that views are basically of two kinds. Okay, so you will have the function based views and you can have the class based views. Okay, so the one which we are going for right now is the function based views. Okay, so just tell me one thing. Where do you find the views.py file? Hmm?
In the app.
App.
It is under app, right? So yes, we have to go there and we'll create a view. Okay, so first one that I'm going to create would be the simplest possible view, which is generally of no use. Okay, but then again, that is the basics. Okay, so yes, we'll do that first. So the simplest view is not going to render an HTML page, but rather it would be just giving a HTTP response. Okay. So if I want to get that, I need to do some import. Okay. So this one, import HTTP response. Okay. Mm. Now let's create our first view. Okay. So define view name can be, okay, so I can have some view name. Okay, let's make it maybe greeting. Okay, and here it is going to take in a request. Okay, and it is going to return. Now since I did some import, I have to make use of it. So yes, it is going to return me HTTP response, okay, which says that okay, I can just mention it as like some uh, something like this. If I want, I can just have some the HTML tags also, okay, to highlight this one. Okay, and I can say okay. Now I have done something. Okay, I have added a view. uh, Even if I add some view, there is no way that I can reach to this view. Okay, I cannot reach this view until and unless I do something. Okay, and this doing is nothing but what we call the URL mapping. Okay, so this is another important topic that we have in hand. So what I'm going to do is just see, I'm going to copy this part. Okay, just the from the 17th line onwards to the 21st line. Just copy this. It's not necessary that you need to copy this. Okay, you can just type it down. It's just that I don't want to do any mistake while typing, so I'm kind of avoiding that. So what I'm going to do is under app, no, under this app I'm going to create another file which is going to be urls.py. So you can see already I have a urls.py which is existing for the project. In the same manner, I'm going to create one for the app as well. Understand one thing, we do have a provision that we can add the URLs belonging to a given app inside the project itself, but that will again complicate. Now when we spoke about modularizing things, right? So that means we want to keep things independent. So again, if I'm going to put all those things here, it will just like no, I mean the advantage that I was getting because of modularization, that will just be eliminated. So I don't want to do that. So basically what I'm going to do is copy this part and I'm going to paste it over here, and I'm going to manage the URLs belonging to my app separately. Okay, so even if like tomorrow I'm going to add like multiple other features in a given app, I can manage it separately. I don't need to know like do some addition each time in the project urls.py file. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. And now just watch what we are going to do next. Okay, I can have greetings here. But before that, let me do one import, which is from dot import views. Okay, and here I'll mention, what should I mention? I can mention the view name, which is, I can put it this way itself, greeting. Okay, and here I just need to mention the view name, which is views dot greeting, right? Yeah, and you do have one more option which you can mention. It's kind of optional. Okay, so that is name. Here I can again put maybe greeting. Okay, I know it's kind of getting redundant, right? Anyhow, it's this one. No, this one is completely optional. These two things are what is important for doing URL mapping. So here what I'm saying, that if somebody requests for this is what has to be taken into consideration. Okay, now understand that this URLs file belongs to my app. So my app is knowing that where it should look for whenever some given request is made. But then again, I have never actually provided a path which will take me towards the app. I didn't do that. It is only having a path inside the app. But what about how should I reach till the app? So yes, for that I should mention something over here. Okay. So for that, again, I need to do import over here and path. Inside path, I can mention my app name, app1. So this names, no, it is completely depending on you, like what name you want to provide. And it is not like you have to provide this name only. No, nothing like that. You can provide your own name. That's fine. So app1 dot urls. Okay. You might be getting a bit confused here, right? So let me like clarify things a bit. So if you just look at this, if somebody goes for this path, okay, apps1, so there should be some further paths, right? So those further path will be, you know, will be followed through the URLs file which belongs to app1. Here, what it means is there is a folder like app1, okay, in that there is another urls.py file. So here URLs means nothing but the urls.py file, okay. So it is saying from here, it should take me to this one, okay, that URLs file, okay. And from there onwards, it will be referring to the views, okay. Now, if this is not clear yet, then we'll do one thing. We'll start the project and we'll see for ourselves, okay. So what we have to do is let's run the server. And let me follow the link. Do you find some difference now? I mean, earlier where we were getting that rocket is gone. Okay, so just look, still we are in the same page, right? Earlier also we were here only, right? So now when I'm going to this page, I'm getting these two things, right? Here it is showing admin and app1. Just see whether are you able to relate it here with this one, this page. Just let me know, make it small. Maybe this much will do. Okay. Do you find it related? Right, it is related. Can you see here the path extensions? What you find is admin and app1, right? Here also it is showing like two paths, which is admin and app1, right? Do you find it? Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go further in the app1, which we have just created. Okay. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to mention app1 over here. Now what do you find? Is there any change? It is having some change, right? Now,
Great.
after app1, you can see there is a mention of greeting. Isn't it the same thing what I mentioned over the URLs file here? See, here it is saying if somebody comes up to this point, that is, somebody is able to reach till the URLs file belonging to the app1, the next path extension that I have in here is the greeting, okay? And this is related, or this is linked with the view, okay? Which view? The greeting view. Greeting view is which one? Here you have defined the greeting view, okay? So which is supposed to return an HTTP response, which is nothing but hello world. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go further and make a request to be able to see the greeting page, okay? It is greeting, right? And make sure that if it is mentioned like with a slash, you mention that, okay? So now do you understand what is happening? The moment I gave this path extension, okay, so it will, I mean, it realized, okay, so whenever somebody is making request for this given, okay, this given path extension here, okay, then it should be taken or redirected for this given view, okay. So this given view should be coming into action. Which view? Inside views file, there is a view named greeting, okay. So that will be taken into action or consideration. So what is that greeting view saying? Here, this view says that as soon as a request is forwarded, now understand this was the request, okay? Each time I was making a request through this, okay? So as soon as somebody makes a request, which is greeting over here, what it should do? It should return an HTTP response which says hello world, okay. And that is exactly what is happening. The moment I made a request for greeting, it has displaying the hello world. Now things are getting like clearer for you, understanding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think okay. I think here I made this one. I don't know whether you'll be able to understand. So if you see, by default, whenever you are going, whenever you are running your server, no, it is actually referring to what is there in the project's URL file. Okay, so you might have seen that now this time when I was running it, it was showing me like the further path extensions that is available for me. So there was that admin one and as well as the app one, right? At this location when this URL was being passed, or the whenever the server is running, it is running in this one, right? This path, right? This URL. So there it is giving me options like how I can move further. So the moment I go further, say for example, if my app name was my app, okay, it would have if I go for that, it will redirect or it will give me options which are mentioned in my app's URL file. Okay, so it will only mention like, okay, if this is the path extension, then this is the corresponding view. Okay, so the moment I mention that, whatever path extension is to be mentioned over there, if I mention that, it will give me that corresponding view. So if the view says that it is to be displaying some HTTP response, it will respond, just give me that HTTP response. Okay, now we'll do one thing. We'll create one more view. Okay, and we'll see whether no it is having any effect and what all changes happens. Okay, we'll see that way. Let's do one thing. Let's create one more HTTP response. Okay, so I'll give some name as some, maybe hi, and here it should be request and return. As I said, this HTTP response, no, it is basically not used because you see, generally you prefer to see HTML files and all, right, which is having a little more better, no, it looks better as well as it has a lot of information to pass. Whereas an HTTP response, you are hardly able to give a single message, right? Hardly of any use. Here I can provide some other things, so I can say Django is fun. Okay, and I want it in bold. Okay, so bold and even, sorry, bigger size, actually this does that. Okay, and since I created a view, okay, I mean, just notice that I created a view, right? Now let's do one thing again. Let's go back to the same page. Okay, so I don't need to do anything. I will just go back to one level. Okay, okay, so do you find anything here? I'll just refresh the page again. Do you find that as soon as I created a view, it should have come over here, right? But it's not coming here. I still find only greeting. Can somebody tell me the reason for this? The reason for this is because I haven't done a URL mapping. Because I mean, here I can see that if I go for this path, it should no take me for the greeting view, right? It should redirect me for the greeting view. But where have I mentioned any URL mapping for the other, the view that I just created for the high view? I haven't done any URL mapping, right? So let's do that here. Okay, so I can just mention path. Instead of hi or anything, I'll just mention some other term here. Okay, so maybe a slash. Okay, I should mention it in some quotes. Okay, so yeah, comma views dot, yeah. Okay, and I can put the additional comma. It's anyhow optional. Let's save this. Okay, now I have saved it. Now let's do one thing. Let's refresh this. Do you find something now? Now it shows the additional path, right? For this given view, which is the high, okay, I am able to get a like way of reaching that. right? Do you find that?
Yes.
Right now I can access. And do you find the difference which is happening because of the no option? I told you, right? The name that is mentioned over here, it is completely optional. I can make use of it. I can just no, I mean leave it as it is. So here you don't find the name option here, right? Which is there for the previous one. And you can see one more thing here, that is after admin there is nothing mentioned because we didn't do anything there. But we know that these two views and the the a slash and the greeting slash, these were the request or the pattern that we mentioned for app 1, right? So inside app 1 I'm getting for these, right? And it is actually basically what it is doing, it is no like, I mean these URL patterns, it is trying to map it with the corresponding view. Okay, so if I try to go for the other view, okay, or say other URL extension, it should take me to this given view, which is nothing but a HTTP response, which gives me Django is fun. Okay, now things are making any sense to you? And now, if it is making sense to you, I have a question for you. Ready? Do you realize one thing? I didn't do a URL mapping this time here in the project folder, right? And the project URLs file, I didn't do any changes, but still I was able to reach to this page. Do you know why? Hmm?
Because it's under the same app.
Yes, because the views that I was just creating were all belonging to the same app. So it is all going to be appearing in the app's URL file, right? App1 URL file. So I don't really need to do any additional changes at the project level. So the mapping, no, it is done in this manner. So basically, if you see, do I have the edit pad? Yeah. So here, if you see, initially what you get to see is the mapping, whatever is present under the project's URL file, okay, urls.py file. So that is the reason you are getting two options, which is admin, and since you have mentioned the app one as well, so admin and app one. Okay, and the next time next moment when you go for further, right, that is you I mean here I will even mention the path. It is like 127.0.0.1, which is nothing but the local host. Okay, so at this URL pattern, what you get to see is the these two options. Okay, that if you want to go further, you should go for either of these path extensions. Okay, and once you choose the app one, now you know that you have app one which you have created. Okay, so that actually will be like, because is based on again what is mentioned in the URLs file, right? So it says that inside the URLs file you have mentioned that if somebody is looking for app one, or if somebody mentions this path, okay, app one slash, they should be redirected to what? They should be redirected further to the app1 dot URLs. So that means the URLs file which is belonging to the app1. Okay, so there are again some paths. Okay, so this time if somebody is going to select some URL pattern which is mentioned over here, so here we had mentioned the greeting URL path extension. So if somebody mentions this one, they should be redirected to which view? So that is mentioned in this file. Okay, so if somebody goes to greetings, they should be redirected to the view which is having the same name. Okay, so this is what is mentioned. And here again you will find there were other options as well, right? So so here, if somebody had gone for the path extension a slash, it would have taken them to the other view which was high, right? So this is how it is working. Is this making sense to you? Are you people getting URL mapping stuff? It is just like bridging a path. Okay, so you know that first thing is you straight away go and you are able to see what is there in your project. Then from there, it is redirecting you to the apps url.py file, and from there it is again redirecting you to the corresponding view. Okay, so that is how the entire path is being bridged. If at all you don't provide the proper mapping, that's the reason you might have seen earlier when I created the next view, but I didn't map it in the urls.py file. I was not able to like find it there. I couldn't find that what request I should send in order to be able to see that given view. Okay, so yeah, mapping is a must when you want to see a corresponding view. I think this is making sense. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as I said, these HTTP responses basically useless, because all you can do is get a single line, okay, single line of message. But actually speaking, if you go for real websites and all, what you see is a full-fledged HTML page, which is having so many features, and maybe having some CSS content, okay, the cascaded style sheets and all. So yeah, so I mean there are many things that add on to the beautification of HTML files. But then again, ultimately it is going to be an HTML file. Okay, so the way you get an HTML file would be a little different from what we have done till now. Okay, a little more things, more steps, but then it's quite easy. So we'll do that now next. Okay, so okay, first thing is, let's do one thing. Let's create a view first of all. Okay. And then we'll think about what all additional stuff we require. So view name, I can say maybe def view name can be okay, welcome. I'll put the view name as welcome. Okay. Again, everything is going to get a request. So these things are all based on request and response. Okay. And you have to return render. Okay, so whenever HTML file comes in picture, no, the method that you're going to use is render. Okay, so render, and the first thing it takes is the request. The next thing you mention is the HTML file name. Okay, so HTML file name can be okay, maybe welcome dot html. Okay, fine. Now this is about the view. Okay, done with the view. Now I can have a corresponding URL in my URL pattern here. Okay, so I can mention path, and path can be, since it is welcome, I can put it as this way. And preferably make sure whenever you're giving this path extension, no, try to have this slash, because whenever you are going to have some further path, no, if you have a slash, it, I mean, it simplifies things. Otherwise, it just gets complicated afterwards. Okay, so comma view, which view am I referring to? Views dot. I have welcome, right? Yeah. Okay, done with this. Now tell me one thing. Do we have any HTML file in the first place? I mean, I have mentioned it very coolly in the views.py file, right? Here I'm mentioning that that whenever somebody is going to make this request, they should be rendered with a HTML file. But I didn't have any HTML file in the first place, right? So is it fine? What do you think?
Oh,
No.
That's not fine, right? So then I have to do something. Of course, I have to. So what I'm going to do is, inside the container folder or the base directory, I'm going to add a folder named template. Okay, template, or I can just put it as templates. It's fine. So can have templates maybe. Okay. And this name is all, make sure that the name should stick to the purpose. Okay, it really doesn't matter if you put template or templates, it's fine. Now understand. Okay, I have the question is for you. Now tell me one thing. Whenever you are adding something to your project, how do you kind of inform your project that yeah, some change is done, okay, I have added something in the project, so you have to make your project aware of it. How do you do that? Earlier when I had to do some I added an app, right? I had to make my project aware that this app is belonging to you. How did I do that?
In the settings file.
Settings file, yeah. So the same file is going to be useful even now, because that is where I kind of make my project be aware, okay, yeah, this is part of you, this is again part of you. Okay, so yeah, that is where I'm going to work next. So yes, the way we do it is, let's go to the settings.py file and okay. So the first thing is I need to make another import over here, which is OS. If you see all the path and all that is based on the no, the US module, sorry, OS module, operating system related module. Okay, so yeah, here I need to create a variable which is going to hold the path for my templates folder. Okay, so I mean it is like, no, I'm telling my settings.py file that this is the folder in which I'm going to keep all my templates. So sometimes if any given view is requesting for some templates, you can just look into this given folder and you will find it, hopefully, if it is existing. Okay, so yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable, okay, template underscore dir. Okay, and here I'm going to mention that, okay, okay, I'll keep a space there, though it doesn't matter, just for looking, no, it should look good. So os dot path dot join. Now, remember again, whenever we are mentioning some path, no, we generally have a tendency to mention it with respect to our base directory. Okay, so here I'll mention the base directory. Okay, comma, what was the folder name which was there inside the base directory, which is going to hold my templates. So that is the next thing I need to mention. Okay, yeah, templates. So yes, done with this. Now, if you look at uh, here, yeah, you have something called templates. Okay, so here can you see there is a parameter like directory, so, or dirs, right? Here you should mention that variable name, okay, which you just created over there in the previous step. Okay, so this is like referring to that, yeah, whenever some somebody, some given view is requesting for a given template, this directory is to be referred to for looking for that template, and the directory is holding, this variable is holding the path for that given directory. And remember, again I'm repeating, okay, this is important. You have to, if you are creating, I mean, see, the templates folder is with respect to the base directory, and remember that the base directory is the outer folder. Okay, with respect to the outer folder, you have your templates folder, okay, not inside the inner folder. Can you see it? So you have to mention the name also accordingly. If you mention it wrongly, you'll find that later on it will give you some trouble. Okay, now I have my templates folder. I have to create the HTML file. Now, in these steps, make sure that you are mentioning the name of the file and all very correctly. Okay, so HTML file name is welcome.html. I should make sure that I give the spelling correctly. So let's create the file. Okay, welcome.html. I'll tell you one thing here, there can be like further modularization. Okay, so you might find that at times inside these templates folder, there will be again folder like app1, app2, and inside that you might find the corresponding HTML files. Okay, so that kind of modularization also exists. But since I don't have much apps, so I kind of kept it directly inside the templates folder. If consider that you had a folder further, another folder which is like app1, app2 inside the templates folder, and inside that you were keeping your HTML file, correspondingly you have to make changes over here. Okay, so if I had a app1 folder there, okay, and inside that the HTML file was existing, I should give the path like this. Okay, yeah, since I don't have it that way, I'll just keep it this way, save it, and let's now type in something over here. I'm not very good with HTML, so bear with me. I mean, I'm just going to keep some few tags, that's it. So I can say, welcome to template rendering in Django, Django project. Okay, and I can have few more tags if you wish to see. And I can say this is our first HTML file. Okay, so okay, it is part of our templates. Okay, something randomly I'm just noting down things. Okay, so yes, now this became my HTML file. When you are doing for yourself, no, you can for like, I mean, just for checking purpose, you can just make use of some HTML file available online, and you can just copy paste it over here and you can try this. Okay, so as of now I have a very simple HTML files which is just going to give me like 3 headings, okay, of different sizes because of the format that I chose for the tags. Okay, and it's part of my this one, this view which is welcome. The welcome view is mapped over with this request path. Okay, the URL extension which is w/. Okay, and here already it is aware that app1 is there, and if at all we require to see the views which is belonging to app1, then this is the URLs file I should refer to. So all this settings is done, and since I never stopped my server, I can straight away go for it, right? So since I didn't even close the file, I can do it right away from here. So if you go one step back, you can see that there is an additional path over here, right? So it is now saying that there is another view which is added to my app1. Okay, so now we have 3 paths which is belonging under app1. Okay, so now I want to go for the w/. Okay, and remember this time what is happening is it is rendering me a HTML file. Can you see this? So I'm able to get a HTML file. I'm so I know that this doesn't look like a normal HTML file. It looks no, not so good, but still it's an HTML file. Okay, so yeah, this is how you render an HTML file. Okay, so you will find that when we were going for a normal view, okay, an HTTP response, we could hardly get a single message. But at the same time, when we are going for rendering, we do have a possibility, which is we can get an entire HTML file through this render concept. Okay, understood till here? Anybody having any doubt till whatever we have covered till now? If it is there, I mean, we can try to resolve it. Is there anything that you are not able to understand?
We just need to know the steps, what all files have to be changed, what all files
Okay.
we go to and what to change.
Okay, if you want, I'll just repeat it. So first thing what we did when we had to render was we, as usual, created a view, right? In view, you mentioned what HTML file you want to display. Okay. Once you create a view, the next natural step would be to map it. Okay, so you mapped it with a URL extension. Once you are done with this, then you know that you have to see this one HTML file. Okay, HTML file is nothing but a template. Okay, so what you did was you created a folder inside your base directory. Okay, you created a folder which is nothing but the templates folder. Okay, You created a templates folder. Now this steps can be like, you can do it like any way. I mean, it's not like compulsorily you have to go this way or that way. I mean, order wise, there is no order, particular order. Okay. So inside your base directory here, that is, you created a folder which is templates folder. Inside your templates folder, you kept the same name HTML file which you had mentioned in your views.py. Okay. Now, when you're done with this, you can straight away go to your settings.py file, which is belonging to your my project. Okay. Now here, what you do is, first of all, you do the import of OS. Okay. This is a module which will help you in no mentioning the path. Okay. So what path you're mentioning? You're saying that inside your base directory, there exists a folder named templates. Okay. And here inside this list, okay, the templates list, there is a dictionary which consists of one of the parameter, that is directories or dirs. Okay, there you have to mention the variable which is storing the path which takes you to that given templates folder. Okay, so this will tell you, okay, if some given view is requesting for an HTML file, this is the path or this is the folder in which it has to look for. Okay, till now, is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, so these are the steps you have to follow. And yeah, one thing I'll be like make it clear here, and that is these steps are like, I know one problem with this is you have like few files, you just keep on moving, okay, from one file to another, and you know, like there is times when you go for like you have a to and fro motion between the files. So make sure that you do it to remember those steps. Okay, once you are I mean doing these steps like multiple times, you kind of understand the flow. Okay, so please do that. And mm, we can see one more thing. If you people are willing, then I'll just show you. That is, you see, HTML files at times comes with some static entity. Now, when I say static entity or static files, what I'm trying to speak about is okay, mm, the image files and all. Okay, so you can have static files. Okay, static files like images, or as I said, that if you want to, you know, have some your HTML files look beautiful, so you can add some CSS files. Okay, cascaded style sheets, or you can go for some JavaScript files. Okay, you do have a provision to include all these things in your HTML file. So if you want to do this, these are what we call static files. Okay, these are what we call static files. So there is a specific way of adding them in your this one HTML file. Okay, so another terminology that comes in picture is that there is something called Jinja tags. Okay, Jinja tags. Now these Jinja tags are nothing but a kind of standard way of referring to these static files when you are dealing with them in HTML files. Okay, now understand that your static file is existing somewhere else, your HTML file is existing in a particular folder. So now there should be some way that you are going to refer to those static files which you want. Now these image files, you cannot just randomly put it, right? It is appearing as part of a HTML file. So when those things are existing in say two different folders, so there should be some way, right? It can be, you know, put it together in a single file. If you want to present it, it should be like, no, it should have some way to access it. So Jinja tags kind of helps in that. There are like multiple other purpose also for Jinja tags. So say for example, as I said, there is security, right? Security at times when you are dealing with databases and all, again Jinja tag will come in picture at that point of time too. And then again, if you have some conditions, say for example some authentication you want to do, or you have some for loop or some if else statement, In all those cases, you can make use of the ginger tags, which are like a kind of standard convention which is followed. Okay, I know you're not understanding this as of now, but if you see, maybe it will make a bit more sense. Okay, and I'm not going to make it too complicated for you. So let's see if we are not just able to get at least an image in our HTML file for now. Okay, so again, we have to do some changes. Okay, so what we can do is, we'll do one thing, we'll try to get our image in this file itself. Okay, we are not going to create another view for it or another HTML file for it. We'll just have it in this file itself. But then again, now understand, you might have already noticed one thing about the use of framework, and that is, things are kept in a very systematic manner. Okay, so templates are kept in a given folder. In the same manner, static files are also kept in a separate folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a static folder under my base directory. Okay, so in my base directory, I'm going to create a static folder with a name static. Okay, so as I said, the name should be relevant. Okay, let me copy some images. Okay, so I have already some images in my system. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it in my static folder. Okay, I not able to paste, or what? Did I copy it correctly? Okay, let me see. Copy. No, I'm not getting paste option. Why is it so? Okay, let me do one thing. I'll just delete this folder for time being, and let's create one more time. Okay, so let me create a folder static. Okay, in this folder I have to okay, add some new files, right? So paste option I'm not getting for some reason. That's weird. Okay, let's see. I think no, I can just do it from the browser itself. I mean, from the file explorer itself. Okay, so let me copy it one more time, and I can go straight away from here itself, right? So here I have my coding folder. There I have this folder. Yeah, I have static folder and it's empty. So let's paste it. Yeah, done with this. Okay, so I have my static images now. Now again, understand, I have created a static folder inside my base directory. I have pasted some images there, but my static folder, I mean, I have a static folder, but my project is still not aware of that. Okay, so again, there are some settings we have to do. Okay, remember, whenever you are creating or adding some new thing in your project, you have to make your project aware of it. And the way you do it is by making the changes or making the settings at the settings.py file. Okay, so let's get to the first thing that we have to do is to create a variable which is going to hold the path. Okay, so I'm going to give the name as static. Okay, static dir maybe. Okay, static dir or static files dir, it's all up to you. Okay, how you are providing the name over here. Remember that only over here I'm saying. Okay, os.path.join, and inside bracket, first thing is base directory, because I'm placing everything with respect to base directory, and the folder name that I have is static. Okay, so yeah, static. Done with this. then I need to go down and yeah, so you will find that there is something like the static URL. Okay, so we can, I mean, we don't need to do there anything. Now comes the twist. Okay, so whenever you have the static files in your project, okay, you need to have an additional parameter, and this parameter name is a standard. Okay, so you cannot change the name, you have to type it correctly. Okay, so the name is static files underscore dirs. Okay, static files underscore dirs. I have seen that if you just mention dir just because you only have a single directory, it won't work. Okay, it will give you some error because this is a standard name and it is expecting that you provide the name correctly. Okay, so here you have to mention the folder name. Okay, so this was the folder name, right? I mean the variable name which is holding the folder, the path for the static folder. So make sure you mention this correctly. Okay, static files underscore dirs. It is a standard parameter name. Okay, make sure you provide it correctly. You mention what no, the variable name which is holding your static folder name. Okay, now you can save this. Done with this. Okay. Now remember that what we did first, we created a static folder inside our base directory. We have added the images that we wanted to see in our HTML file in that folder. Then what we did, we had to make our project aware that such and such folder is created and it is part of our project. So first thing was we created a variable which was keeping the path value, right? And the yeah, like with respect to base directory, there is a folder named static which is going to keep all the static files, right? So that path we have created here, mentioned there. Now what we have for finally is the static files underscore dirs, which is a standard parameter, which is going to be a list which keeps the details of that variable, which keeps the path for the static folder. Okay, till here it is clear, right? Now tell me one thing. The HTML file, okay, the image appears in the HTML file, right? It's not, just randomly pushed towards you. It is coming through an HTML file, right? So you have to next go to the HTML file. Since I'm not going to create a new HTML file, I'm making use, or say basically reusing this. I'm going to mention the ginger tags and all over here. Okay, so now you have to pay attention. Till here, is everybody clear?
Yes.
Okay. So the first ginger tag we'll be providing is for loading those static files. Okay. Remember that what we are trying to do here is, I mean, just understand it this way, that we have our HTML file in a different folder. We have our static file in a different folder. And it is Django which is going to manage that whenever this HTML file is like displayed, these static files are going to be part of it. Okay, it is going to be loaded with it. So for that sake, we have to do something, right? So for that purpose, we are making use of the ginger tags. Okay, so the first one what we have is the load static tag. Okay, load static. Okay, and then we have, now there is some part of it as the HTML tag. Okay, so since it is an image, img src image source. Okay, here now comes the ginger. Now I'll give you one suggestion. Whenever you are trying to write these ginger tags, no, make sure you go with the combination. Okay, in the sense, double quotes, you put it twice, the, I mean, it anyhow appears. Now this no, the curly braces twice, then the percentage symbol, all comes in combination. Okay, so even if you miss one, it may not work. Okay, so in the static folder, we have the image name. So what was the image name, by the way? I didn't check. Okay, so we'll go for any of this. Which one would you like to have first? Okay, we'll go for maybe flower first. Now remember one thing, when you're mentioning the image name, you have to be very sure about the image extension. Okay, so images come as JPG, PNG and all, right? So make sure that you provide the correct extension. Okay, so here if I go for flower, it is .jpg. Okay, again it should be enclosed within the single quotes, give a space there. Okay, though these spaces are like I am giving it. Okay, but then again I believe that it looks good that way. I'm just putting that. Do you know what this alternate tag, what this means? Anybody? Anybody who is having awareness of the HTML tags? So here, no, what I'm mentioning is there is this image source, okay, wherein you have it inside the static folder, and the name of the file is the flower.jpg. Okay, make sure the extension is correct. If by chance, maybe sometimes no, the file is maybe too like taking too much time for appearing. Okay, so it may not appear at times, or maybe if that file is not there, okay, it's not located in that given folder. In that case also, the alt will come in picture. It basically, it will give an alternate message kind of thing. Okay, if by chance this doesn't appear, it will just say that in place of that, it will just mention, okay, this is what it was supposed to display. Okay, so it's like an alternative. I think we are done with this. Now let's see like whether it is bringing some changes. Since I never stopped the server, it has already taken the changes into effect, hopefully. So just let's refresh. Can you see? It works. Right, it is working, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm able to get my image over there. And if I put some wrong extension, maybe this. Okay, let's save this and try to refresh this page. See, now it is saying that since the image did not appear because I mentioned wrong this one extension, so it is just saying that there had to be a flower which had to appear. Okay, so you can do that way. Now I can even go for the other image, which is one of the images that I prefer. Avengers, Avengers dot PNG, right? Just notice that, okay? PNG, and here anyhow, let it be. It will appear anyhow. So let's save this and refresh this page. So Avengers are also appearing. Okay. I mean, we can have other images also. These were like some things which was already there in my system. So I just went with that. So you might have noticed it is hardly like few steps. What we had to do was almost similar to how we had the templates in place. So you created a folder, you added those images, you made the settings.py file aware of it, okay, and then you came to the HTML file where you wanted to display those images. You did the Jinja tag which asked for loading the static. Okay, so this kind of says, okay, the static files, how it is linked. I mean, linking these the files which are existing in a different folder with this one. Okay, the templates folder, the HTML file exists in a template folder, and the static files are existing in the static folder. So this will kind of help me with that. Okay, and here we are mentioning like in the static folder what name of the file it has to search for. Okay, and by chance if it does not appear, and this is kind of optional again, if you don't want you can skip this part. It is still going to work just fine. So we'll try, I mean, as of now we'll try to keep things as simple as possible, right? See, even after refreshing it, it is appearing. Okay, so that means that alternate option can be avoided. Okay, so yeah, this is how you work with the images or say static files. Are you people understanding this till here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll wind up for this. Okay, I mean, I'm not going further. Let's wind up here itself. Let me stop the screen share. And